Good evening to everyone. I am Gunaseelan, studying third year mechanical engineering at Coimbatore Institute of Technology, and I'm here to give you one interesting presentation on surface grinding machines. Let me move on to the topics. So, this is the topics I'm going to discuss on today's presentation, and before getting into my topic of surface grinding machine, I like to give a brief introduction on grinding operation. Basically, we all know that grinding operation is being carried out with the help of grinding wheel, and these grinding wheels are made up of abrasive grains which are being fused together to form grinding wheels, and these grinding wheels are involved in removal of very fine quantity of material from the workpiece. That means the metal removal rate is very less compared to other machining operation. And the last point was important point. That means these grinding operations are considered as secondary operations. And the primary operations involves like additive manufacturing, other CNC milling processes are involved in primary operations. I like to give an example. If I want to make a part prototype, first of all, I like to go for some other operations like additive manufacturing. So if I made a prototype using additive manufacturing, the surface accuracy and the surface roughness is very poor in case of those processes. So after making a prototype using primary processes like additive manufacturing, I'll be coming for grinding operation to give a better finish to that prototype. So that's why these grinding operations are considered as a secondary process. And before coming into the grinding operation, the part should be created using other operation. That is the point I have mentioned here. And the next slide was surface grinding machines. And we all know that there are different grinding operations like cylindrical grinding operations, surface grinding operations, centerless grinding operations. So among those, surface grinding is one of the most common operation used. And generally, these surface grinding operations are involved in grinding of flat surfaces, and machine which are being using such operations are considered to be surface grinding machines. And I like to explain the working principle of the surface grinding machine. I've considered one machine where I like to explain it in a step by step manner. The first step is workpiece mounting on a magnetic chuck or workpiece mounting on a work holding device. Here, the work holding device are considered as a magnetic chuck for metallic objects or metallic workpiece. In case of non-metallic materials, the workpiece are held by using visors or vacuum chucks, and this is the first step. And the second step is like the basic thing like uh, turning on a grinding wheel and those things. But before that, the grinding wheel orientation and the spindle orientation was very important. Here, I have considered the spindle is oriented horizontally and the grinding wheel is mounted over it. So, if this is the case, if the spindle is horizontal, so let me consider this. If the spindle is horizontal and this is the grinding wheel. Spindle is horizontal, and this is the grinding wheel. The periphery of a grinding wheel is involved in metal removal. So that is the thing to be noted over here. And while the it is considered as an table of that is the magnetic chuck, if the table reciprocates longitudinally and the grinding wheel is fed along the vertical direction, the metal removal takes place. This is the basic working principle of this surface grinding machine. And the machine parts. Uh, I like to just a minute. This is the few machine parts which are involved in surface grinding machine, and the main part was the work table with the magnetic chuck. This is the new thing we are seeing in this kind of special machines, and the grinding wheel is mounted over here, and in this machine the spindle orientation is horizontal, and we could find a hand wheel for up down motion, that is z axis, and hand wheel for longitudinal, that is x-axis and hand wheel for y direction motion. And uh, these are the basic um, components, basic parts available on every special machines. And this is the typical surface grinding machine we could see on the right side. I have highlighting, and let me move on to the next thing. And I've already said like uh, there are different type of surface grinding machines are involved. Basically, these classifications are based on spindle direction and the table motion. Based on these things, there are four different types of surface grinding machines. They are horizontal spindle and rotating table, vertical spindle and rotating table, horizontal spindle and reciprocating table, vertical spindle and reciprocating table. If we move on to the next slide, so we will see every types detail in detail. Spindle and rotating table where the spindle. Please look at this picture where the spindle is placed horizontally and the grinding wheel is mounted over it, and the the periphery of a grinding wheel cuts the material and the work table is also rotating. This is the exact case for this kind of surface grinding machines, and the feeding occurs as the table rotates as well as the grinding wheel also rotates. So by relative motion of both the grinding wheel and the work table, the feeding occurs and the metal is removed. The next slide was vertical spindle and rotating table. Here, look at this image where the spindle is located vertically downwards and the table is rotating. So this kind of machines are particularly used for grinding large surface area material because the grinding phase was like the surface area of a grinding was quite large compared to previous one. Here the periphery is involved on metal removal, but in this case the phase of grinding wheel is involved in metal removal. So the large workpiece is involved over here. So, and the basic thing was while the surface area is large and the material removal rate is also large. So that is the thing on this vertical spindle rotating table machines. And the next case was horizontal spindle. Please look at this image. Horizontal spindle and reciprocating table. Where this is the case, I have explained for the working principle. First, the workpiece is being fixed on the magnetic table, magnetic chuck table, and this is the grinding wheel orientation. That means the horizontal orientation of a spindle, and the periphery of a grinding wheel is involved in metal removal. Like this has been movement. This involves up and down movement. That means the grinding wheels are involved in up and down movement, and this work workpiece are involved in the longitudinal movement. By giving a mutual longitudinal movement and by giving a few lateral movement to the table, we could result in the metal removal. And this is the most commonly used machine in all the workshop because it gives high accuracy and fine surface finish. And this particularly this work table is uh, being generally moved by hydraulic power, we all know that. And this is the last case where vertical spindle and reciprocating table. This kind of please look at this picture where the vertical spindle and the table is reciprocating, and generally the wheel in this machine is cylindrical and the phase is involved in cutting the work material. And the this is also considered as a previous case, like by reciprocating the table, the feed is actually happening. So by that the metal removal is also taken place, and the diameter of a wheel, that means the diameter of a grinding wheel is always wider than the workpiece material because the face The phase of a grinding wheel is involved in metal removal, and I've have a video for you, so please look at this.
Surface grinding machine. Surface grinding are used to produce flat surfaces. This surface grinding machine are classified as horizontal spindle reciprocating table surface grinder, horizontal spindle rotary table surface grinder, vertical spindle reciprocating table surface grinder, and vertical spindle rotary table surface grinder. Horizontal spindle reciprocating table surface grinder. Let us see the 3D model of the horizontal spindle reciprocating table surface grinder. It has column, grinding wheel, wheel head, saddle, table, trip dogs, hand wheel for cross feed, hand wheel for grinding wheel adjustment, hand wheel for saddle movement, and base. In operation, the workpiece reciprocates under the rotating grinding wheel. The grinding wheel ground the work surface and produce smooth and flat surface. For next depth of cut, the grinding wheel is feed downward. Horizontal spindle rotary table surface grinder. Workpiece, rotary table, and grinding wheel. In horizontal spindle rotary table surface grinder, the workpiece is rotated under the rotating grinding wheel. Vertical spindle reciprocating table surface grinder. Let us see the 3D model of the vertical spindle reciprocating table surface grinder. It has column, grinding wheel, magnetic chuck, reciprocating table, and base. In operation, the workpiece reciprocates under the rotating grinding wheel. The grinding wheel ground the work surface and produce smooth and flat surface. For next depth of cut, the grinding wheel is feed downward. Grinded surface. Vertical spindle rotary table surface grinder. Let us see the 3D model of the vertical spindle rotary table surface grinder. It has column, grinding wheel, magnetic chuck, rotary table, and base. In operation, the workpiece is rotated under the rotating grinding wheel. The grinding wheel ground the work surface and produce smooth and flat surface.
That's all about the video, and these are some of the reference books I have used for this particular creating this particular presentation. The P.N. Rao and Kalpak Jain, Gruber, Kibi, Richard, or these are the books available as an e-books. You can also give a look on that. And I have referred many YouTube videos. I have shown one. If you type surface grinding machines, you could also find a number of videos involving all the processes and clear explanation. You could also refer to that. And with that, thank you very much.